But we're here with the amazingly talented Martha Wainwright. And I can say that because I've seen you live, I've heard your albums, so you are the greatest singer that ever lived.
Oh.
No. Anyway, you've
It's going to be a very easy interview.
Yeah. You've just released your second album. I know you're married, but I've got feelings too.
Yeah.
And I love that title.
Great.
After such critical acclaim of your first record, how did you approach a second one? Did you do it in a different way?
Well, in many ways, it felt sort of like a first album because I could just approach it as a musician and as an artist and as a singer. With the first album that I did make, I think a lot of it was about getting out from the shadows of my family, and so it's sort of like loaded in a way. And this one is kind of less self-conscious in some ways, so it felt very freeing, to just sort of approach it simply musically, and I wanted to do a record that was sort of, maybe a little bit rockier, a little poppier, spend a little bit more money. Like I wanted to have fun. I guess I was, I've been in a happy place because I've enjoyed being on the road touring the last record. So I wanted to express that. And
it seems like the first record was lyrically very inward and sort of about you and your family and I like that term.
No, it's.
But you did sort of change and write about more things around you and more generic things.
Yeah, I mean generic. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I think what happened, what happens, and I'm sure it happens to a lot of people. You're writing songs in your late teens and early 20s, which is a navel-gazing time in your life, and you feel like the whole world is against you and everything is happening to you. And then, as you get a little bit older, you realize the world has a lot of sadness and depression and desperation out, much more than yourself. And so there's plenty of subject matter outside of your own problems to sing about. And on this record, there's some more. There's a song about war and songs about death, and then a song about a friend of mine who killed himself. I mean, so there's still generally dark things, which interest me. But as a songwriter, I think your job is to write songs and express the feelings of all of humanity or other people. So to bring us together or something somehow.
Did you, or was it hard to sort of work out what all of humanity was feeling?
Yeah, I mean, all of humanity, that might be pushing it a little bit.
But was it, did you have to really look around?
Well, interestingly enough, the more personal the song, the more universal, and so even though these songs are about larger subjects, they're all primarily written in the first person because I can discuss these matters through my own personal experiences because that's what I know. So what that's telling me is that we're a lot of us are feeling the same thing, and also with this record, I had to write the songs faster than I had before in the past, and in many ways I really enjoyed that because I had to flex the songsmithing muscle in me harder, and I had to look around and say, what am I going to write about and sing about, and it felt good.
It's lucky we don't live in a perfect world, otherwise you'd have nothing to write about, would you?
Well. What's really interesting is seeing the evolution. There's an evolution between the first and the second record, and what that. Now I'm excited to see what the third record might be. I mean, maybe it's all songs in French with just a guitar. I don't know. And so maybe one day I'll be writing happy songs. Although right now I doubt it, judging from my repertoire. But
one day. The album is quite well produced and it's very much a studio record. Like You Cheated Me, it is a pop song, and you said before you were going in more of a pop and rock direction. When you're actually writing the songs
for this record,
when you're actually writing the songs, did you have all of these other layers in mind?
No, I'm kind of like pretty like dumb musician, and I never hear things before they happen, or I don't have much of a image of what they'll sound like. But I was meeting different producers because I thought, second record I should get like a big producer and try that out, and then I realized that I'm a complete control freak without knowing what I want. So it was a really big problem.
Wow.
And so I decided to have it produced by different people so that I could maybe control the situation a little bit better and not have one, generally a man, an older man, sort of, put too much of himself onto the record, and I could keep some kind of artistic control by sort of playing them against each other in some ways. But although, interestingly enough,
that's evil.
It's evil. Well, although I always end up going back to Brad, who produced the first one, Brad Albetta, and who I married this year,
Congratulations.
or last 2007, and. Thank you. I always ended up doing a lot of it with him because, I can't charm him. So it's generally I think the result in some ways is a kind of a very honest one. You know.
So it actually did work playing the producers off.
Well,
but you obviously had your favorite producer,
and I think that it just worked out for people's availability too, and it allowed me to move around and play with a lot of different. There's a lot of different musicians on it. It really sort of. I think what it does is that it was just about serving the song, and each song, was sort of started differently, and we sort of went, okay, what is this song asking for? Well, I'm kind of hearing trumpet, or just allowing the song to dictate what it's going to need. Yeah,
and you just said you didn't want an older man to put his stamp on your record.
Yeah, like ejaculate all over.
So you got Pete Townsend, right. Donald Fagen, and
I do
Garth
have a father complex, I guess. Like most
Did
people.
They ejaculate all over your album?
No, well, at least, just on the album. Their wives will be happy to know. And so am I. Yes, those guys can ejaculate all they want on the album. That's great.
They've earned the right to do that, I think.
That's some good stuff.
Yeah, but apart from the fact that they are the stars that they are, I mean, they are also three amazing musicians.
Yeah, well, that's the my primary interest. It's not the stars that they are, but that's exciting. But for someone like. Pete Townsend and Donald Fagen. I think they're very generous, and I think that they're honest. They're truly fans of mine, and I think that they were just trying to help me out in any way that they could in a really kind of nice paternal way, actually, and that's very heartwarming. But they're I would meeting them and getting to hang out with people like that and Garth Hudson just. Makes me want to, makes me feel like a part of the evolution of music in some way too, which is really gratifying. Yeah. To have these people's acceptance and their praise means a lot to me. You know what I mean? It's very nice.
I don't think I'd be able to get anything done if I was in a studio with those guys because I'd just be in the corner.
Well, one of the things that's great is about not knowing too much about somebody. Like I didn't, when I met Pete Townsend, I wasn't a fanatical Who fan, and not because I didn't like the Who, just because I never really am that interested in any one band generally. And so for me it wasn't like, oh, can you do this and do the helicopter thing, and when I asked him to be on the record, I said we don't have to use your name, and you can play whatever you want, you can, as long as it's a guitar. You can
Pete Townsend on theremin.
Yeah, he's his energy is incredible. I played with him on stage a couple of times, and he was behind me jumping up and down, playing on one of my songs, and it's completely tangible and very exciting.
And there are two covers on the record too. See Emily play the Pink Floyd song and Love Is a Stranger by the Eurythmics. Yeah. Now these are two songs where the originals are totally different and from different eras and.
Well, that's. I mean, I think that it's really important when you cover a song to. I mean, I like interpreting a song. I like interpreting a song, you know, and having it sound different than the original. Otherwise, I don't really get it. And "Love Is a Stranger" was a song that I knew very well, and it's really sort of a tip of the hat to my youth. You know, I'm a child of the 80s, and so, you know, that "Sweet Dreams," and I was, you know, 9, 10, 11 years old, you know, like in there. And obviously, I wanted to sing and look like Annie Lennox, you know, who wouldn't want that? And,
I want to.
Yeah. And then with "See Emily Play," I didn't even know the song, really.
Really?
It's so terrible. I knew. We had some Syd Barrett records at home, but I didn't have that early Floyd record that was on. And the reason that we did that song was actually my mother's idea, because we were asked by Joe Boyd, who I think originally produced the song, to do it for a tribute concert for Syd Barrett. And so Kate was sent the song. My mom, Kate McGarrigle, who's a musician, she was sent the song and came up with a brilliant, very different arrangement and, you know, kind of feminine side of the song, I think, very much. And I wanted to have her on the record, so it seemed to be the right thing.
So were they chosen because they would fit in with your songs? Because they do.
It's because I'm singing them. "Love Is a Stranger" was chosen. I wanted to cover because I was afraid about not having enough material for the second record, because it's scary, you know, it's daunting to have to pull together enough material in not that much time. That's strong. So I wanted to do a cover, and I wanted to, you know, the thing is that when you hear songs like "Love Is a Stranger," you realize why they're so famous, those guys, because they're really good at writing pop songs, you know. And in many ways, with "See Emily Play" and "Love Is a Stranger," it's sort of, I find it's kind of a relief on the album, because you get a lot of Martha Wainwright and her problems, like the desperation of the planet, and then you have sort of maybe a more of a lightness with some of the other stuff, which is kind of like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. Now, I was reading an interview with you. There was no date on this interview, so it could well be something that was written years ago. It's all right. It's not too damning. It's just that you were saying that your style of singing is actually quite damaging to your vocal cords.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well,
so
hopefully
what makes you do
that's
it?
changing. But I think I've become a much stronger singer just by because I've been playing so much in the last 3 years. I've been on the road constantly, and you have to sing with the drummer and things like that. So you have to, like, your voice gets stronger and better. Yeah, but you know, I mean, I have a bad tendency to shoot myself in the foot in many ways, and you know, not take care of, not take care of the gift always that I'm given. You know, it's really nice. I should take care of my voice better. But you know, it's a part of one of the many things that make me a weak human being. Yeah. but
I
lack
right.
discipline. I'm the first to admit it.
I saw in that same interview you actually said that Rufus got all the discipline in the family.
I know, he did.
He's got all the control.
He got all the discipline and all the self-confidence, you know, which I'm trying to pick up more of, and I think I am, and I think it's very useful. Self-confidence, it's a good thing. I
think one thing that really surprises me, or maybe surprises isn't the right word, but impresses me about the Wainwright family is I've seen live yourself, Rufus, your father was just here, Loudon. I saw him play a month ago, and I've interviewed Rufus before, and the three of you are just total unique personalities.
Yeah.
You're three different people, very different people.
Well, you have to be if you're surrounded with these. It's all about, I don't know if it's the cult of personality, because I don't even know really what that means. But
it's a Living Colour song.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
Okay, great. You got to get out of the office. No, but yes, it's a lot of. I think there was a lot of emphasis on individuality. You know, and I think when you're a songwriter or an artist, you know, you really have to tap into that sort of that thing inside of you that makes you different than everybody else, you know. But then also living with so many sort of big personalities, you really have to find a way to nudge your way in for some attention, you know, which often means swearing and yelling and crying and, you know, drinking.
That sounds like quite a family to grow up in.
Yeah, you know, but I make it sound as if it's, you know, kind of bad. It's not bad at all. I mean, you know, what's so interesting with all of us is that we're actually all the same person, is what I've realized. You know, we all do the same thing. I mean, you know, although I never grew up with, or I lived with my father a bit when I was growing up, but not that much, and but I lead exactly the same life that he does. I think that's funny. You know, we're in hotel rooms carrying our guitar around. In some cases, it's the same guitar. He had given me a guitar years ago, and so, you know, it feels like I'm an extension. Yeah. And then, what more would you want? You know, family is the most important thing.
And maybe your kids will take it up.
Absolutely.
One day.
They'll take up accounting because I don't want to pay an accountant anymore. No.
You're going to have an accountant,
do whatever
a lawyer.
They want. Exactly. I need an accountant, a lawyer, and a manager.
Yeah. They can do whatever they want as long as you agree with it. No, I didn't mean
I'm sure
that.
they'll be musical. Brad's very musical.
Yeah. Now, just before I let you go, there is one other thing. You recently went down to Africa.
Yeah.
Well, recently, it was about 2 years ago now, but
I
that's still
followed
relatively
Damon
recent.
Albarn there because he's so hot.
Well, yeah. I follow him all around the world.
I know. Yeah. Well, he's pretty hot.
Yeah. That's, you know, he actually said the same thing about you.
Really?
No.
Thanks.
Well, I don't know. He might have though.
I know that's what he's thinking.
What, you know, you were down there. Not just playing music, but you were down there. You went into, you know, poor villages and all of that. And
yeah, we were there. You know, sort of being entertained, being, you know, showed how it's done. You know? Yeah. They were like, those African musicians in Mabico were putting us to shame, is what was happening. We were like, you know, you really see the real deal.
Did you learn anything from them?
I hope so.
Yeah.
You know. I mean, I think that Damon has really embraced African music probably more fully in his own music now, but I mean, I hope that all of these experiences are rubbing off on me in any way, you know, and, you know, whether it's that or doing Kurt Weill on stage at Covent Garden or doing Judy Garland thing with Rufus or singing with Gary Lightbody from Snow Patrol, you know, in the sense that anything that I can take from any of that is, you know, is useful. I hope it rubbed off on me.
It did seem to come through a little bit in Tower Song.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I had nothing to do with that production.
Really?
Well, there was the one Tor Johansson. That's right. I always think it's Sergetson, but it's Johansson. The Swedish producer who did Franz Ferdinand and all the Cardigans. He did that. Him and his musical partner Martin were really the geniuses behind that. I just sang it, played the song and sang the guitar, and then they scooped out the guitar somehow. And then a couple months later, he sent me that, which I thought was perfect. And I said, "Great, you can do the whole record." But then we tried doing it with other songs that didn't work as well. It was just a fortuitous thing. You know what I mean? It doesn't always work out that well.
Well, there you go. Anyway, Martha, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks.